Okay, guys, I have no idea what that was, but that was as suspicious a downing of a stream as we've had here. We know that obviously. What the hell is going on? We know that what the fuck is what the hell is going on? What is this thing doing? Yeah, we're good for the moment, but I got my doubts here, Licks. Why is this thing giving me? All right, that's okay. Are you guys so far? You're seeing. I got no promises about what's upcoming on this stream, guys. That was, it just seems funny. We stream all the time. Obviously, we stream gaming regularly. Never an issue. And obviously, gaming is a lot more. Streaming gaming is a lot more of a pull on the system than just streaming my webcam. And yet, it seems like each time we talk about anything topical, when we've talked about COVID, when we talk about politics, there's all you get a little ways in, and there's all of a sudden stream issues. The telemarketer tried to warn us of Susan's plan. Don't you guys agree though? This stream is still not. Yeah, I still have my doubts about this stream lasting. Everything is running slow. Everything is running way behind. Yeah, it wasn't just you. And you had to seen all the issues I had trying to restart this stream. And again, as you guys know, we stream pretty much every day, many times, a couple times a day. Never an issue until we talk about things that YouTube might find sensitive. Urban Legend says right after an election in Britain, we all have a cup of tea and crumpets. Yeah, I don't. I think we'll be having something here, but I don't think it's going to be quite as cordial as that. We'll try again. But if while I was trying to get this back up, I checked. I know we're on a little delay. I got to see if you guys actually are able to see me now. This is insanity. What we're going through to. Wow. Yeah, we're back for a. I I don't know what the hell is going on here, you guys. I have no idea. No clue. And as Jack said, him and I both agree on this. Neither one of us are much for conspiracy theories or anything along those lines. But this is awful suspicious that anytime we want to talk about politics or COVID or anything topical, we go through issues. And as long as we're talking about anime or playing games, there's no problems at all. Oh, what did that? I did see it. Hold on a second. Uh, Speaking of American, oh yes. Speaking of American politics, orange is sus. Yes, and to be honest, BTG, there's a lot of the colors are sus when it comes to American politics. If we go down again, guys, if you still have time to hang out with me, hold tight because I'm going to restart everything. I'll shut everything down, get a fresh restart on everything, and retitle the stream because this is fucked up what we're going through right now. Uh, saying COVID in these videos that you demonetize. Yeah, Urban Legend. I don't even care about the monetization anymore. They're such bitches about monetization. I don't even worry about it on the streams. I mean, you guys, our streams. I'm very fortunate. We have a very supportive community here. People are always kicking in with super chats and stuff. I don't need their monetization. I leave it on. If they want to turn it off, fine, turn it off. Yeah, I'm with you, Jack. I mean, if it keeps happening, then the unlikely becomes the likely. And early on, when it started happening to us, I would make jokes about it. It's like, oh, they know what we're talking about. But I'm not. I'm not so convinced it's funny anymore because this is every goddamn time using the exact same setup. It's not like anything's changed on my end. Using the same software, everything is the same. But yet, as soon as we talk about anything topical or the least little bit controversial, we have all kinds of stream issues. Oink says, I didn't get the notification for the last stream, so the crash at least allows you to enjoy my hard companionship. We like having you here, Oink. But we'll continue as best we can. Now we're just into a good part of the conversation too, and got completely sidetracked, which I'm wondering if isn't the idea here. You think so, Daniel? He says we're going to civil war. I take no joy in saying that. I think that's a possibility. I still think, as I had said earlier, and I know we had to restream. Susan, you better quit fucking around. I know we had to restream since then. Oh, here we fucking go. What is going on with this shit? Yeah, if you guys are still hearing me, I'm going to do exactly that, Jack. If it goes down again, give me a couple minutes. I'm going to restart everything. I'm going to refresh everything. And I'm going to put an entirely new title on the stream and see what happens. Anna says, both Biden and Trump are terrible, though. Bernie for the win. See, I agree with 2/3 of that. Biden and Trump are both hugely flawed candidates. But Bernie is, for me, for what I want in America, is even below that. So yeah, it's a no choice for me. It does seem to be lagging. I know I've set this up so I can see not only my dashboard, but I can see the stream as it's displayed, because you guys have been having so much trouble, and I see there's lag here or there too. Put the title as Shits and Giggles stream. Jonathan says, well, no, if we go down again and we want to try and pull the stream back up, I'll title it something like the totally non-controversial talk about family-friendly subject stream. Yeah, if YouTube wants to play dishonest, I'll play dishonest. Yeah, Lick said, I don't care who wins. I just want meteors to hit the Earth already. The Giant Meteor 2020 party, I think, has picked up a lot of steam. Probably has picked up more more new members than the Republicans or the Democrats. Excuse me. Hey, Joy. Good to have you along. Perfect for me for some reason. Tui, it's been really weird. But and again, typically I can tell you guys, because I've done it in the past, I've let you guys know, I can tell coming into a stream if we might have issues with it, because, I work with the channel all day long, and I can see if YouTube itself is acting wonky, but there's been none of that today. Nothing started with an issue until we were like 15 minutes into our conversation. Chrome says, so any thoughts of the leaks of Biden's crack smoking son selling favors from his dad? And the leak pics of him smoking crack, Facebook's banning the leak. That's the biggest issue to me, Chrome, is about that whole thing. That report that came out in the Post is Facebook, and for a time Twitter too, banning references to it, banning that link. That's bullshit, because there is as much evidence that that's an accurate and true story as there is in anything that's been published over the last 4 years. They use the same type of sources. There's no reason to believe that any of it is genuinely discredited, but Twitter and Facebook say, "Oh no, well you can't link that." That's getting a little frightening. I do believe, no matter who wins, I think government needs to intervene on Twitter and Facebook specifically, because they want to control a narrative, and that's not what they're there for. Now, Twitter has already backed off on it. Jack came out and said, "Oh, that was a mistake. The things weren't this was not handled well." He's full of shit. The only reason Jack came out and said this was not handled well was because he knew the heat was coming. Bullshit. We didn't. I forgot what his exact terminology was, but something about we didn't do the right things or something along those lines. Yeah, come on. You knew exactly what you were doing. Daniel says, if Biden is going to win, then like 30 days in office, he will mysteriously die. Kamala. I do believe that the reason that Pelosi is pushing through the 25th Amendment stuff is not for Trump. I do believe that is with concerns that Biden. All right, I got us back up again. As somebody in the chat mentioned, we said the words Pelosi and 25th Amendment, and down we went. We'll really fuck with your FBI agent. This is insanity what we're going through right now. They are not going to let us stream. Wow. This is nuts. I just can't get over this. All right, guys. Are we back at all here? Hold on. How long can I immediately kills it again? Yep. Are you guys here? Are you guys hearing me at all here? Just let me know. Let me know what you guys are. Believe this either, Connor. This is getting really obvious. What's going on here? Still super laggy, Jack. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and now I'm seeing the lag on my end too. What the hell? Nobody will make me believe differently that there isn't. We know that YouTube does monitor streams, and there's nobody's going to make me believe that that's not what goes on in these streams. You got to be kidding me. Wow. Yep, back but lagging like hell. Nice try, Susan. I won't tell you where the GU bunkers are. All right. Now, how much is the lag stopped? All right, I'm just watching to see. Now, it looks to me like the lag has quit. We're on a little bit of a delay here. Susan really loves me, Jake. Can't you tell? Now, and again, it's lag stop for now. Okay, now let
Oh,
me say this, and because I
yeah.
think you guys will back me up on this. You guys know, well, I see a lot of you guys here that are with me pretty much every day. How often do we stream here? I mean, it's pretty much every day. You sometimes, a lot of times, 2 times a day. Sometimes 3 times a day we stream. We have had zero issues since the last time, and the last time we had, or since the last time we had issues was when we were talking about COVID. What the fuck is going on? I mean, does is Susan and YouTube too ballless to admit that they're trying to censor certain conversations? This is nuts. It's also true that YouTube does slow down streaming speed as well. It has to be, Franklin, because again, I double checked, while we were having our little mental breakdown there. I went and checked just to make sure that it isn't on my end, and my speeds were outrageously good. I mean, I'm fortunate now. Spectrum has updated everything where I am that my speeds here are really, really good. Bob Jones says you're going to hate me. I voted for Biden. No, I, I got to tell you, Bob, I'm not the type that can conjure hate up for that. There are absolutely reasons for people to vote for Biden. I have my reasons why I'm going to vote for Trump. It's not because I think Trump is a great guy. It's all policy based.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I completely understand someone voting for the opposition. But the problem is we're just in a state in America. Oh, Bob became stream boss. We're in a state in America right now not acceptable. The latest thing, I'm sure you guys seen it on Facebook, is people going through, asking everyone that if you're going to vote for, typically it's Trump, if you're going to vote for Trump, then please unfriend me, be gone from me, because you hurt my fifis. And that's just not me. I mean, everybody's got their own thing. Here comes the lag. Yep. All right. This is absolutely getting insane. Yeah. And Holy shit. They really got some balls here. I voted for Kanye, Pop says. All right. You're going to love this. If you guys can hear me, they're telling me now error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. They're trying to say it's my fault.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Is that what they put up there to try and keep from getting the class action lawsuits or something? Because clearly I'm sending out a strong enough signal. What the fuck? Biden's winning. You think so, cool people? I think it's going to be close. Or cool poopy. Cool people. Cool poopy. I think it's going to be real close either way. Again, it's Pennsylvania is going to be huge. I think that one goes either way. I do think Trump wins Florida, but I don't think he's going to get Minnesota or Michigan. Wisconsin would be a tough pull for him, but I think he can get both Carolinas. I think he can get Nevada too. It's going to be really close. Say you're voting for Biden. I say that will fix your lag, Star Killer. So that could be. That's good, Star Killer. I like that. We do. I mean, we know without shadow of a doubt that YouTube and Susan are heavily to the left. So maybe that is it. Maybe I just got to switch what I said about who I'm going to vote for. Yeah, because it just seems like too much of a coincidence. It's just like Epstein. It's too many coincidences. With all the streaming we do on this channel, it's become constant lately. And again, we're streaming some pretty heady games that take up a lot of bandwidth and everything. No problems. Say the word 25th Amendment and Nancy Pelosi, and all of a sudden it's choppy and shitty, and I get a prompt saying, you're not sending us enough information to keep your stream going. Bob says, I'm too pro-gay and pro-trans, that's why. I am as well. I have way too many friends in the LGBTQ community to not be pro. But it's like anything else. When you make a vote, you have to weigh everything. I don't think Trump can do as much damage to that community as a lot of people think. And given that, I have to weigh everything out. And I think that the things that the Democrats potentially right now bring to the table outweigh that. Because my biggest concern is, here's my bottom line for how the presidential vote goes for me as it stands right now. I am very much against, big government intervention. So anybody that wants to lean towards taking more of our tax dollars to give to the government for them to decide who gets what, that's where I'm out, because that's where I think you're destroying the future for my kids and grandkids. I'm old enough now. It doesn't really much. Whoever wins this election is not going to have that big an impact on the rest of my life, because even if it is a side that wants to make changes take time. I'm looking out for my kids and grandkids, and so that's why I vote the way I do. Get the fuck out of YouTube. Hello, people. Go watch YouTube. Kids, you nerd. What the hell are you talking about? Cool poopy. First of all, your caps lock is stuck, which is a sign of dementia. So you might want to take care of that. What are you talking about? Hello, people. Go watch YouTube. Kids. What the fuck are you going on about? Trevor says, everything that I say triggers a liberal. I didn't see your joke, Blissful. What was your joke? Turtles and lesbians have one thing in common. They choke on plastic. That's just wrong, dude. Trump's Twitter campaign got bit. That was a couple weeks ago, Poopy, when they were talking about the Twitter campaign. To be honest with you, Poopy, if you're here just to, express idiotic talking points and you really don't have a brain and you just want to blather on about things and don't want to actually discuss the issues, you'll just have to move on, because that's not what we're here for. There's plenty of idiots on the internet. We don't need one in here. Trump appointed the first openly gay person to a cabinet-level position, but hey, guys, he's a homophobe. Well, and the thing of it is, Andrew, I'll be the first to admit, the Democrats' policies would tend to be generally more LGBTQ friendly. There's no denying that. Yeah, I don't think of Trump as a homophobe, but I think there's limited amount of true effect he can have on damaging the LGBTQ community. The biggest problem there would be something that is not going to make a difference anyway. It's in the Supreme Court, and Amy Coney Barrett's going to get put in, so that 6-3 is going to be there regardless. But as far as the president himself, I don't think he can have that huge of a negative impact on them. The Supreme Court can have more of an impact, but that's a done deal anyway. Chrome says Trump hasn't done anything against gay rights in 4 years. He's not going to do anything in another 4. He was pro-gay rights in the early 00s. That's true. Even going to gay wedding, the idea is homophobic is a joke. Yeah, the only thing he's done that I can remember is he was supportive of trans people being banned from the military. But again, now that depends too on what you're talking about. That's not the entire community. If you're talking just gay rights, no, I don't know of anything Trump has done that would be seen as harmful to the gay community, other than again that he has put in conservative judges whose decisions have leaned conservative. Outside of that, I don't know what they would be referencing. If you trust the mail, then mail yourself $5,000. Yeah, well, I'm with you on that one, John. But again, this predates the current issues. I've never liked the idea of mass vote in mailing. I don't think it's a secure way to do things at all. And I do think it makes, and it could be from either side, it makes tampering with things much easier. And I've always believed too, okay, maybe it's just me, I don't get to the whole argument of not being able to get to a polling place. Unless I'm missing something, most polling places nationwide, I know all the ones around here, they're usually open at least like 14, 16 hours on election day. And I do see an argument saying, well, a lot of people don't have transportation, they don't have means to get there. I just find that hard to believe in the respect that, so then you're saying these people probably don't have driver's licenses, they don't have any type of licenses that would require going to governmental offices, they aren't receiving any type of assistance or anything, because if you can find a way to get there to do that, then it's just a matter of priorities, whether it's important enough to you to get to your polling place. Let's see. He was also supportive of trans people being banned from homeless shelters. Oh, I didn't hear about that, Jack. As for gays, I've seen nothing to say he's homophobic. Oh, I didn't see that, Jack. I don't disbelieve that, but I didn't see that. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know of anything Trump has done that would be seen as adversarial to the gay community. Again, unless you want to make the jump and say, well, because he's putting in conservative judges, but that's a leap to say that that's a direct action against the homosexual community. D-Day Doug says, anyone here, Tommy Lee might be moving to Greece if Trump is reelected this year? I say good riddance if he goes through with it. I don't know, a lot of celebrities said they moved if Trump was elected. Yeah, they kind of got, I think people got so cocky last time. I thought Hillary was going to win. I think the vast majority of us thought Hillary was going to win. And people got so cocky with it, they felt completely comfortable in making these bullshit proclamations like, well, Trump wins, I'm moving to Canada. And then on election day, or election eve, they're like, fucking Trump won? I don't want to move to Canada. That was just me blustering so I could get, some extra thumbs up on social media. I didn't mean it. So I think most people are being more low key about that now. Abraham says, Curtis, what do you think about the BLM and Antifa organization? To me, they're both terrorist organizations. What are your thoughts? And this is one that, unfortunately, you have to get the semantics of properly when you say anything. As far as Black Lives Matter, obviously, I'm a supporter of the notion of Black Lives Matter. I think they could do a better job of picking which battles to fight as their billboard battles. I think that hurts them a little. But do I also believe that black people are not necessarily targeted for death, but targeted more often by police? Yes, because I've seen it in my own life. as far as Black Lives Matter, the organization, I have no use for them. They're a Marxist organization that their leader has come right out and said that, basically they're trying to bring Marxism to America. So I have absolutely no use for them. And I think Antifa are a bunch of useless little, for the most part, useless little nerds living in their mom's basement who really are just anarchists. I don't think they give two shits about rights for anybody. They just want to be part of the problem. Look at the whole thing with the kid that shot a few people during the protest there. One was a convicted pedophile. The other was a convicted serial abuser. All of them had criminal records. You're not bringing out the best and brightest in there. But as far as the Black Lives Matter movement, I'm supportive. The Black Lives Matter organization, I don't want anything to do with. Throw them through a hoop, Chrome says, and claim no lives matter in a response. It'll be funny. Let's see. After this next election, can we just get a normal president? It would be nice, wouldn't it, Nolan? It really would. As I've said this a couple times in a stream. I know we have new people coming through here all the time, but the simple fact is, I think if either side were running somebody even close to normal, that side wins easily, because Trump and Biden are so seriously flawed. Lang says, I won't be voting in the next election, not because I wouldn't want to, but because I'm not an American. If I was allowed to vote, I would probably go for Biden, although both seem like bad options. Yeah, I agree, especially with the last part of that sentence. Poor Joe, and I take no pleasure in saying this because, again, leaning right. First of all, I haven't always leaned right. I am currently. But following Joe Biden's career as I have, I've never had an issue with Joe Biden, and certainly never had, I disagree with him on some policy. Never had any type of an issue with him as a person. And it's kind of sad to see what he's going through because, man, there's just something not right there. That's not the old school typical gaffe machine Joe Biden who would say inappropriate things or let his mouth get in gear a little bit before his brain. This is someone in the middle of conversation, in the middle of making what is a fairly important point, just losing his way. And that's bothersome. That's unfortunate too. Jack says, as a supporter of BLM, the leaders have fucked up a great chance to get stuff done. I agree with that. It was a global chance to get something done ruined by essentially idiots, by Marxist idiots. I agree with you completely on that, Jack. Yeah, they had all the momentum, they had the public support, and then you got their leaders showing their colors as being less about rights and improving the lives of black people in America and more about trying to institute their Marxist ideologies. It was right on their own website. So yeah, they did do a great disservice to what could have been a really positive movement. Krusty Bomb says, American politics, pick the shittier of two shits. What is it? South Park says, a giant douche versus a turd sandwich. That's pretty much it. So we seem to be streaming okay here. Did Susan give up? Did Susan finally say, screw it, they're too persistent, we'll just leave them alone? Tapio says, personally, when talking about BLM, I love the idea but hate the reality. The violence has done absolutely nothing for black people because you can't get rid of violence with more violence. Yeah, that's basically where I am, Tapio. It's unfortunate because they did have, as was mentioned, a lot of momentum, and they had the potential to be doing a lot of good. And then again, you have the BLM website spouting Marxist ideologies, and the leader of Black Lives Matter saying literally, I'm a hardcore Marxist and this is what we want for America. And it's like, oh, well, you just screwed that. Chrome says that they never wanted to fix the issues. If they fixed the issues, they'd no longer get any money and they couldn't push their agenda. There's something to be said for that. It's also what makes me think, so where do, like, all these, now I'm not talking about, for lack of a better term, journalists and people in positions of authority that use social media. I'm talking about these wannabe social media influencers on Twitter whose all day, I mean, their entire days are taken up with anti-Trump stuff and trying to rally up the base. A lot of what they spew, you guys know the idiots I'm talking about. A lot of what they spew is complete nonsense, but it gets them the tweets, or it gets them the retweets, it gets them the thumbs up, it gets them the love that they so desperately need. Where do they go if Trump is out? You got to believe somewhere deep down, no matter what they say or what they scratch out on Twitter, they got to almost be hoping that he stays in, because otherwise that rush that they get from that little bit of notoriety is gone. Hey, Bob Jones, our stream boss now. Hold on, that was one that went by, right? I didn't miss Bob's. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah, okay. It's from that one way back then. Okay. Thomas says, sorry, off topic. What happened to RVB? I haven't gotten back to it. It's not something that a lot of people were concerned about, because as you saw, not much of anybody was watching it, and I just simply haven't been back to it since we started doing all the live streams.
Oh, yeah.
Cool People says, what are your thoughts on Simpsons predicting Trump's death by getting COVID-19? Well, they didn't specifically say COVID-19, but that was cool, the similarities there. The only thing I can say, though, with the Simpsons and predictions, because there's been a lot of things they predicted, it goes back to like the Nostradamus effect for me. People talk about Nostradamus and, what a soothsayer he was and how many of his predictions have come true. But to me, it's a numbers game, in the respect that Nostradamus threw so much shit at the wall, some of it was bound to stick. And I think that just the Simpsons have been on the air so long and been doing parody of current events for so long, they were bound to hit. I think it's pretty cool, but they were bound to hit on some things that would come true. It is fun to see, though, how many things they've been dead on about. You got to appreciate that. But I do think it's mostly a numbers game. Again, that's why I always refer to it as the Nostradamus effect. Nostradamus wasn't a soothsayer. He predicted everything, so pretty much some of it's got to come true. Surisman says, British person here, Black Lives Matter is great until they do shit like the face Winston Churchill statue, which is ironic because no one would have the freedom to do that if not for Winston Churchill. Yeah, and they even here in the States, they took out some statues that were people that were great fighters for equality. They just, again, you get idiots involved with any group when you get a big movement going like that, think they're going to do something positive, and they're like, there's a statue. Who is it? What the fuck does it matter? Let's take it down. And then it just reflects poorly on the entirety of the group and the movement. Right. Lifer says, yeah, if you make 1 billion theories, getting 100 right isn't that special. And it is. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-pooing it away. I think it's cool when the Simpsons end up predicting the future. It's just that it's bound to happen. Again, they've so many episodes and so many of them related to current events and pop culture, they're bound to get some stuff right. Madia says, don't you think The Simpsons as a show has become too dry? I mean, 32 damn seasons, maybe now it's time to just cancel it. I still enjoy it, but I don't disagree with you. I still enjoy Simpsons, but yeah, I think they're digging real hard for new plots now, which is understandable, like you say, after 32 seasons. Do I think I'm not going to go so far as to say as they need to be canceled, because even at that, I think they're better than a lot of the crap that network TV tries to push out to us. But yeah, I certainly don't think they're in their heyday anymore. Let's put it that way. Hassan says, I am left-leaning, but I totally agree that we should never result in hate. There's no dumber idea that we should hate each other based on the fact that we don't agree with one another. And you know what's really interesting about that too, Hassam, is just what Bob said earlier. It's poignant, because like you said, geez, don't hate on me, or you're probably going to hate on me, but I voted for Biden. And that's not anything against Bob. That's because that's the way the world is now. It's just the way the world, this country in specific, and the world in general has become. People are afraid if they know that you're voting for A, they're afraid to say they voted for B. And again, I don't have any, Biden's particularly. Now, Sanders was somebody that I was more vehemently opposed to, because again, I told you guys what I base the majority of my decision making on, and that's that I don't want the government taking our money and redistributing it to us, because I think they're terrible at it, and I think it inhibits creativity and inhibits the ability for excellence. So, and that is Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders believes that you give the government big hunks of your money and they will dole it out as they see fit. But even that, the most ardent Bernie Sanders supporter is not somebody I'm going to hate on because they're a Sanders supporter. We disagree, and I will debate them all day on the issues, but I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to, as people like to do nowadays, I'm not going to eliminate them from my social media. It is what it is. They see things differently. I can have conversation with them and explain to them why I see it the way I do and hope you have an influence, but I'm not going to hate them. Lang says The Simpsons is still going. I thought they got canceled like a decade ago. A lot of people might think that. Like I say, I still get some laughs from The Simpsons. Again, it's not nearly what it was 15 years ago, but it's still fun. I still enjoy it. Chrome says, sad thing is, last election was the perfect time for a third-party candidate. Then the Libertarian Party had a guy stripped naked on stage, and their candidate was open borders and weed. Yeah, you're right, Chrome. And you know what happens too, though? You almost feel bad for the third parties, and it's happening again. For a third party to start becoming a viable third party, they have to do well in a presidential election somewhere down the line. This is a perfect example. Joe Jorgensen running on the Libertarian ticket. I think Joe Jorgensen could command a decent amount of respect at the polls, except everybody on the left, because typically the Libertarian candidate will take more votes from the left. Everybody on the left is telling them, if you vote third party, you're voting for Trump. Now, if you want to vote your third party in the future, do it. But this is the most important election of our lifetime. I'm sure you've all seen that. And the third party candidates, people get told that every fucking time. They get told, if you vote third party, you're throwing it away. And then those same people complain because it's only a two-party system. If you never allow the third-party people, the people who honestly support the third-party candidate, to vote, you're never going to allow them to make those incremental gains that they need to get on that national stage. Because every 4 years, you're going to say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. You guys wait till next time. This time you do what we want you to do. And that's what's been happening to them. It happened to them in 2016. They still get blamed for Hillary losing. Although the reason that Hillary lost was calling half the country deplorables, and more importantly, not even bothering to visit all the states that ended up winning the election for Trump. That's what Hillary lost the election for Hillary. Excuse me. Jack Queen says the way Trump handled his own COVID infection was concerning. In what way, Jack? I'm not disagreeing with you, but I don't know which way you're talking about. In him saying that, it's easy to beat or something like that. Yeah, Lifer says, I don't hate average people for supporting a candidate. I hate the candidates and trash people. Yes. I think he had COVID, Lifer. I do think, just from what we're seeing in numbers of fatalities and everything too, I think medical science has certainly gotten a much better handle on, we obviously don't have anything close to a cure, but they have a much better handle on how to deal with the COVID cases, and more so how to deal with the COVID cases as they relate to existing specific conditions. So I think that's why you're seeing so many people coming out of it with a positive outcome in a shorter period of time than before. I think the medical science is just is learning more. Mr. Papaveraccia says, if Trump wins again, I would legitimately be scared for the country. It would not be good. I usually vote third party, but not this time. See, obviously I don't see that. I wouldn't be voting for him. I don't know. I don't know what you mean, though, Mr. Paparazzi. Why would you be scared for the country? I'm not sure. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know what your reasons are for saying that. Lifer says, I live near Chicago. I could vote for literally anyone in history. My vote wouldn't count. That's JoJo 2020. Yeah. Well, it's like me here, Lifer. As far as the Electoral College, I'm in New York State. Doesn't matter who I vote for. It's going to the Democrat anyway, no matter what. And if you look at the if you look at like the 2016 map or most maps of the presidential elections in New York, you'll see New York City and Westchester County, which is just north of it, all blue. You'll see out near Buffalo with a lot of blue. You'll see a sprinkle, if you look at the county map, a sprinkling of blue in the Syracuse area, and the rest of the entire state is red. And we still get demolished because there's so many people in New York City. Yeah, I agree, Lex. Yeah, because Hillary assumed she was going to win and gave up trying to promote herself properly. She absolutely took the middle section of the country for granted. She absolutely did. Yep, the northern central part of the country, she absolutely took for granted, and that's why she lost. She didn't even visit them. And it was just, what? I think between all the pivotal states that Trump won, he won them in total by maybe 80,000 votes. That's a couple visits, Hillary, and you win. But that's one of the things I just didn't care for about her. She's just bound and determined she's going to blame anybody and anything else other than herself for that loss. Hello People says the third party's too weak. They need to get more positions in all other parts of the government before they can even dream that they have the amount of support it takes to win the presidential election. I don't disagree with you, people, but I do disagree with that concept. I think before they can get anybody in at the local levels, they need to win a big election. I'm sorry. They need to do well in a presidential election. If they could get 5 to 7% of the vote overall, I think they'd be getting into where it's enough where people, because a lot of people, now most of us talking here are probably fairly into politics, because when we have a stream like this, understandably, the people that aren't into politics have gone on to do other things. So, but you have to remember the majority of Americans are not really that into politics. So until you do well enough in a presidential election that people even know the Libertarian Party exists, I mean, people outside of those who enjoy politics, or not even enjoy it, follow politics, until you get that name recognition, I don't think you can even win those little local offices. I think that's their problem. And again, every 4 years, the third party candidate supporters get told, well, if you do that, you're just wasting your vote. You're giving your vote to the other guy. In this case, it's Trump. They're saying you're giving your vote to Trump, you vote third party. You wait till next time before you go worry about your little libertarian. And that's what they get told every time. Lick says she was too busy flossing on talk shows and Pokemon going through the polls. And Johnny Boy Ugly and Proud Velez says, attention everyone, I wipe my own ass. Wow. What's that like? I'm going to get there. I'm going to be there soon. CDV says, Democrats and Republicans should just watch Naruto and masturbate more. No, CD, I agree with you. Definitely about the masturbating more. Naruto is too political. Let's let them watch an anime that has not. Let's let them go watch fucking Konosuba or something. Because watching Naruto could give them some more bad ideas. Mr. Papavaraccia says Trump would try to dismantle anything he sees unfit, or waste some money and keep increasing military budget. That would be one example. Well. It's kind of an example. Increasing the military budget, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. See, the military budget's a bugaboo. It's easy for people to say we shouldn't be spending any more money on it because we're safe. But you could very well be safe because we've been spending more money on it. We're entering that Space Force and everything. I don't think that's a joke. We're entering a whole new realm, and we are every day, of technology. If the military does not stay on the top end of that, America will succumb to a foreign power in some form or another that has nothing to do with guns and tanks. And I believe that's where the biggest hunk of our money is going now in the military, is making sure that we never get behind that technological curve, because it could change America. America could end up not being America anymore. It's that dire. So I do not agree with the cutting of military spending. But as far as dismantle anything he sees unfit, he's had 4 years to do that. So I'm not sure, you'd have to be more specific for me to address it, or what you're talking about. But as far as the military budget, no, I don't agree that should be cut. Again, I think a lot of the military budget goes to things that the normal the average everyday person doesn't know about and shouldn't know about, because it's a matter of the arms race is not what it was during the Cold War. You know, it wasn't the it's no longer the number of nukes. It's all about technology now. Villain for Hire says most politicians can't even find their own penis. I had such a tacky joke to me. Oh, we'll go for it. No, I don't think that's true. I think Kamala can find hers. Yeah, okay, that wasn't as funny as I thought. Alex says Biden would most likely turn a blind eye to anything that China does to its neighbors. Well, you know, there is that. There's a concern in general about American companies outside of politics too that turn blind eyes to everything China does because of the money. Look at the NBA, because of the money that China represents. It's always a concern. Chrome says she's talking about Hillary. She's still blaming everyone and told Biden not to concede the election no matter what. They want civil war if Trump wins, or the Dems die as a proper party. They have no leadership besides geriatrics. Yeah, as we've been saying throughout and this is how the stream is titled, I don't think it's not going to be good late November 3rd and November 4th. And then if the election is really close on election day, as those mail-in votes start getting counted, things are going to get really, really fucking tense. Oh boy. Because you'll remember, even in 2016, it was a relatively the final electoral college vote wasn't that close. Trump won that fairly comfortably, but the actual numbers in the voting were close in pivotal states, but yet we knew who was going to win by that night. No, the amount of mail-in voting we got going here, that very well may not be the case. Hey, Silverleaf, good to see you. Hassam says, in the top 11 countries that spend on the military, we are the top and we spend more than the next 10. We definitely spend way too much. We cut it in half. We still spend more than the next 3. Hassam, that's apples and oranges comparison. America is also, and has been for some time, considered the free world's leader as far as military might. All those numbers don't mean anything if a 10 or 15% cut, or any cut in the military, means cutting a corner that we absolutely could not have cut to not be supplanted by Russia or China or Iran. We don't know. There's no way to know that for a fact. We don't have the inside information. So we spend more than, and that's true, our spending is extravagant. How much of the world is America's military might a major deterrent for them having issues in their parts of the world? I mean, you got to start with Japan, of course, because they don't, we are Japan's, because of the World War, we are Japan's defense, basically. Now Europe has militaries throughout, but Europe as well, if there were a push come to shove situation, they need this massive American military might backing them up. Just because you can compare numbers of what others spend, it has nothing to do with responsibility. We spend more because, for better or for worse, those are the responsibilities we've taken on. Nothing is as simple as all of that, where you can just say, well, these are the numbers. You can only spend per capita as much as this country spends. It's not how it works. That's not where we are positioned globally. Trump has voted by mail in most elections. Link says, I don't have a problem with. And terminology is going right in my head. For instance, the military has always had to vote by mail and everything. I don't have a problem with people being able to petition to get absentee ballots at all. Because the thing of it is, if you petition, if you have to take an extra step to get that ballot, you have to ask for a ballot to be sent to you, then it's a lot more likely that that ballot is going to be used properly than it is when the ballots are just sent out en masse, and we already know that the mail system has been failing as of late, And we know that the bookkeeping at governmental levels is terrible. And how many of those ballots are going to be sent out to dead people? How many are going to be sent out to people that just didn't exist because there was some input error, data input errors? I just don't think it's a good or a secure method. It's an entirely different thing when you're talking about mass mail-in voting as opposed to absentee ballots, which is what you're talking about. Alex says, I'm betting we don't get the results from the election for at least a week. That's very possible. And then Pelosi becomes acting president, and then she'd push through 300 executive orders in a few hours. It'd take more than a week, though, for that, Alex, because you'd have to go beyond January. So I don't think we have to worry about a Pelosi presidency in the delay as much as we have to worry about the temperament of the people that are involved if there's a long delay. Kawhi Ocho says, do you think we're going to get the result November 3rd? No, I don't. I don't, because there is enough mail-in voting going on. And I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. I don't think we had. I think the election is going to be too close to call on November 3rd. In other words, you would have to have one candidate would have to have enough of an electoral college lead that none of the crucial swing states could be swayed by the yet to have been counted mail-in ballots to have a result on November 3rd, and I just don't think we'll get there. Link says, why has the mail been failing? Could it be because they've been destroying machines and defunding things? Only if they've been destroying machines and defunding things for the last decade, because that's how long it's been that the mail system has been failing. Link. I mean, this isn't new. The mail system has been in trouble for quite some. The mail system got in trouble basically because of the technology age. Back when I was a kid, everything you wanted to do, every type of conversation outside of your landline telephones went through the mail. So obviously, they've been bringing in less and less revenue. The government struggles to find the revenue they need to keep them afloat. And that all leads back towards things not being as efficient and as good as they should be or could be. But that's been going on for, I'd say 10 years, and that's being conservative. It's been longer than that. It's been failing. The recent events are, again, Republican versus Democrat, and the cutting of funds and the potential defunding of the post office has had little to do with the post office issues. That's been going on for a number of years. I feel common sense. Redax says, I feel like common sense and reality is just not there anymore. Yeah. People just take sides and say stupid arguments over and over again. And both sides do that. You're right, Revax. And even once those arguments are completely dismantled, they still continue holding on to them. Chrome says they've literally just been replacing old mailboxes, not destroying them. Well, there has been some actions taken that would be seen as unfriendly to the postal system, Chrome. I know some have been replaced, but they're not significant enough to have had a major impact on how the mail moves. And again, this has been an issue for a number of years. It's not something that has, even though their funding being cut has never been more of a potential reality than it is now. The issues there are not something new. Hello people says, I doubt the U.S. postal system has money for a long, long time. Yeah, I mean, it's not their fault. It's just the nature of the beast. You had faxes come into play. Obviously, email came into play. Now it's social messaging. Now everything is right on our phones. Of course, there's not as much money going into the post office. Dramatically less money going into the post office. I doubt the U.S. postal system. Oh, I'm sorry. I just read that one. Link says, so they didn't destroy the sorting machines. Some of the sorting machines have been destroyed, Link. But again, read into it. And I can't tell you what the numbers are. Some of them had been on the block to be destroyed because they were ineffective and they weren't doing the job properly anymore. You have to remember, a lot of the postal equipment is antiquated as hell for just the reasons I outlined. The money they have brought in has been declining at a dramatic pace for years and years and years. The money isn't there to keep things up to snuff. It just is what it is, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just technology technology beat the shit out of the postal system. Let's see. Jack says, I'm confused by this ballot thing. I'm a person that usually follows the evidence, studies, etc. Pretty much all studies have found an error variance of minimal in voter balance. Well, what the thing of it is, though, Jack, there's a couple things with that. A, in most of those studies where there have been, and I'm not making a case for there having been widespread, rampant issues with mail-in voting, because I don't believe there has been. I think there could be. They don't even factor in things. Okay, in that, you don't factor in when they find a couple thousand ballots that were just never delivered. That's not factored into those numbers. Those numbers reflect votes that came in being accurate. So those numbers aren't even really anything worth anything. But beyond that, we've never had a case of like what we're talking about here, where this many people's votes were going to be reliant on the U.S. postal system. Typically, it's always been just absentee ballots, which people request, or in the case of the military, they're handed out to them. We've never had a case of this number of people having ballots sent to them via mail and not being sure if, and we don't even know, you don't know who fills out those ballots. Anybody can fake a signature. It's not like they're cross-referenced. So you could have, and this could easily happen, you could have the ballots come to an entire household, say of 5 people. If the person who collects the mail that day happens to lean one way and knows the rest of the family members lean the other, why can't that person just fill them all out and send them in without them ever realizing it? Because then they just have to say, oh, I never got my mail-in ballot. I mean, there's a lot of things that go wrong. I just don't think it's a good idea. I think the bottom line for me is the best way to conduct an election is people show up in person and pull a lever. I just think that's the most honest way to do it. Chrome says, in Ilhan Omar in hot water over voter fraud at the moment as well. Yeah, she is. She is. There's a lot of evidence that she was out there harvesting ballots. She had people out there harvesting ballots, and even some evidence that some people were paid for their votes. Yes, that's being investigated right now. Oink says, on the military spending, I think I see that as reasonable. America needs its military power to maintain influence in the world, and as much as I don't like American leadership, it's far better in China. Right, and that's what it, to me, Oink, that's how life has unfolded on this planet. America has been put into this, is now the leading military power in the world. A lot of the rest of the world relies on that, and I think if we let that fall off, we're asking for problems that would dwarf the issues that we're talking about right here, especially as the technology increases. Technology is going to make it easier and easier and easier for a foreign adversary to commit great harm to our nation. And we need to be on top of that. Foreign policy is kind of a weak point for both parties at the moment. Link says that's true. I don't. Our foreign policy through several administrations has been iffy at best. Yeah, but in fairness to all those administrations, foreign policy is also really, really, no matter how intelligent you may be, is really, really tricky and full of landmines. Sometimes literally. Filmmaker says, I think that all Democrats will vote by mail and most Republicans will vote in person. On election night, it will look like a Trump landslide, and then a week later, we'll know who actually won. Well, it's funny you say that, Filmmaker. That's just my fear. That's what I was talking about is, as far as violence, as far as potential violence goes, the worst thing that can happen is Trump is ahead. Oh, Filmmaker took over Stream Boss. The worst thing that can happen is Trump's ahead on election day and loses it when the mail-in ballots are counted, because you know the hell that's going to unleash from people saying that the whole mail-in ballot thing was a scam. And that's where people are really going to go off the deep end. I think that is by far the worst case scenario. And it's unfortunately a very legitimate potential scenario that if that happens, it's going to be batten down the hatches times. Everybody's going to have to watch their back type thing. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I got to go. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in while Susan decided we couldn't do this stream. Thank you for staying with us. I know there was a lot of interruption during this one, so I really appreciate you guys hanging in with us and having this conversation. I love talking about this stuff with you guys. I learn a lot from these too. I really like hearing you guys' takes on things. Tomorrow is Fighting Friday, so we're gonna. Oh yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get through the rest of the playthrough on Mortal Kombat 11, and if I do, we'll see. I'll go online and get the shit beat out of me by some people. But it's also Free for All Friday, so that'll be fun. Susan will probably let us have that one because it doesn't hurt her little sensibilities. But thank you again, guys. Thank you very much for hanging with me on this, and thank you for making this so much fun for me too, and so informative for me as well. So here it is. Today's sticky stuff. It's Thursday sticky stuff, which we know is it's the hopeful sticky stuff because it's almost Friday, but the sticky stuff was infused by hate when Susan was screwing with our stream. So you're going to get some pretty powerful hate-filled sticky stuff here. And by hate-filled, I don't mean it'll hate you. It means you can use that sticky stuff to hate on others. So that comes in handy, especially when you're talking about politics. So get those trademark official sticky stuff fanny packs ready, because here's some useful, hateful, sticky stuff coming your way. Pampu, sticky stuff here, sticky stuff there, sticky stuff all around, sticky stuff there, all with just the right amount of hate involved. Because we'll bang, okay, flashily like Buggy. And as always, most importantly, regardless who wins an election, goosh, 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 goosh.